Hello, and welcome back to the Follow Your Spark podcast. It's your host, Gina here, and I am so excited to be joined today by an incredible human being, Nii Ashikwei Tetteh. And today we're going to be diving deep into all things dance, community building, and connection, both with yourself and other humans. And I cannot wait to see where this episode takes us. Whether you're a seasoned dancer or you don't dance at all, I trust that there will be some spark of magic here for you. So stick around. And to give you some context of who I have the pleasure of sitting across the screen from today, Nii is a dedicated dancer, educator, and community builder based in Washington, D.C. He leads Dance Flow Haven and teaches urban kids and Brazilian Zouk with an emphasis on musicality, technique, and authentic connection. He has years of experience teaching, performing, and training across the US and internationally. And he's passionate about making partner dance approachable and transformative, and is known for his warm, methodical instruction and his commitment to inclusive, growth-centered spaces. And through his classes, events, and training teams, Nii helps dancers build confidence, develop their unique style, and connect more deeply with the music, their partners, and themselves. I always love to share how I got connected with people on this podcast. And I met Nii back a couple months ago on my own Zouk journey. And from the very first dance I had with you, it was definitely clear the amount of presence and connection and care and perception you brought. And I was really blown away and knew I was in front of a very unique and special human being who had so much gifts and wisdom to share. So I'm so excited to have you on the podcast today for other people to experience your magic. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me on this podcast. I'm very excited to be here.
Okay. So the first question I love to ask people is that when you hear that phrase, to follow your spark, what, if anything, does that mean to you?
So, follow your spark, that phrase makes me think of following the thing that lights you up the most, the thing that you're passionate about. I'm a very passionate individual, and I think that we feel most alive when we are doing the things that we love. And the things that we love are where our passion comes from. So, follow your spark for me is about being able to hold on to that and keep your sights on that. No matter what difficulty you're facing, choosing to push through and to learn and grow, to honor this direction that your life is wanting to take, that you're being called to. And it's not always easy. I feel like it's always worth it.
Yeah. So it sounds like that spark is connected to love, passion, growth. And I'm curious if you could take us back. What was an original spark that got you connected to dance in the first place?
Hmm. Well, my first dance inspiration was Michael Jackson, hands down. I love the music. I love the dance moves. It was kind of a little bit of a role model for me when I was younger. Yeah, I used to walk around the house going hee hee, things like that. Bust out the Michael Jackson move, and I knew that I wanted to learn how to dance. I wanted to be able to dance like Michael, and I didn't really have the opportunities to do that. So I did what I could, watching videos and practicing and all that. And I went to some of the local events to learn partner dance. And I found salsa and bachata, and that was really wildly exciting. I realized that I did not know how to partner dance at all. And I had to decide, like, do I want to learn how to dance or not? Do I want to put in the effort or not? And I chose to put in the effort. I couldn't see myself not having dance as part of my life in the future. I couldn't see myself not sharing dance with whoever ended up as my intimate partner. Like, dance just felt like a calling.
And maybe that's the answer to the question I was about to ask. And the question that came to my mind was, why did you feel so strongly that it was worth putting in the effort? Was it just that, like, this felt like a deep calling? It lit that spark of love and passion? Or was there anything else that was like, no, this is really worth it?
Yeah, so the core of it was the passion and the love of it. And then as I, found the courage to actually try and learn it, I found that along the way I was connecting with other people that were on a similar journey. I was having vulnerable, meaningful conversations. And I love conversation, especially the kind that leads to growth. I found that I also was having opportunities to introspect and retrospect. So I feel that in dance, as you think about movement and try to process it in your body, things will show up for you. Emotional things will show up, memories will show up. And so it gives you an opportunity to kind of take a look at yourself from different lenses and
Mhm.
to understand what's blocking you in movement and dance, because typically that's the same blocker you're having in other areas in your life. And so it's
Mhm.
like an opportunity to use a very different, fun, sometimes challenging lens to discover opportunities to move past your blocks and grow in ways that you might not have expected.
Yeah. So it sounds like, and I don't know if maybe you expected that to happen when you first started your dance journey. And it sounds like as you continued on this path, you realized all these other layers to dance and all the things that were available and all the healing and growth and transformation that were accessible through this modality.
Mhm. Yeah, I
Mhm.
didn't realize everything I was getting myself into in the beginning. I didn't know all the benefits that I was going to discover, all the challenges. And even today, as I discover newer things about myself and sometimes I feel about like human nature in general, it feels like it fills in the details of why I stuck with this and why this has been good for me. So it's like I'm still learning more about why I made such an incredible choice for myself. Yeah.
Mm, yeah. And that's something interesting too that I feel like on every podcast interview, people don't always know, where, I mean, we never know where a journey is going to take us. And it sounds like you're in this continuous discovery process of, oh, here's a new layer. Oh, here's a new layer. And like you said,
Mhm.
filling in these pieces of the puzzle, an understanding of, wow, there's again so many more gifts and reasons why I chose to follow this path.
Yeah, exactly. And dance is much the same. Like as we dance and we actually evolve on our like level of technique and things like that, we also discover that there are layers there. So it's like there's layers everywhere, and it's kind of nice and exciting that there are sort of unlimited layers, because then
Mhm.
the adventure never stops.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds like obviously dance has been a huge avenue for growth personally. And I'm curious
Mhm.
what fuels you and motivates you to now like share this with others in the work that you do.
It's a good question. It took me the longest time to step into like an official teaching capacity. I've been dancing for about 21 years, but I only started teaching in the last like five officially. And I started with Kizomba and then Urban Kiz and now Brazilian Zouk. I think I was a little bit more focused on myself in the beginning. It was about healing that I needed to do and wanted to do. It was about the journey that I wanted to take. It was about the freedom that I wanted to experience. It was about all the wonderful experiences I was having. But I think that was always needing to be reconciled with just who I am and my personality. And I think the reality is that I am a very giving person and I do receive joy when I'm able to facilitate growth. I do receive joy when I'm able to help somebody in need. And I think that the ways in which dance have helped me and continue to help me was something that I wanted to be able to share with other people so that they too may grow and receive joy. So, yeah, there was an opportunity. I think this was like right after COVID, where I was living in New York. I live in DC now, where there was no dance scene for the dance I was most passionate about, which at the time was Kizomba and Urban Kiz. And so I was in a lot of conversations where people were complaining about that. It's like there is no dance. I wish somebody would teach. I wish someone would throw an event. And that was the common thing that people would say.
Mhm.
And I'm not very good at talking for a while without doing. I'm more of a doer than the talker.
Mhm.
So I was like, well, that somebody has to be one of us because nobody's going to come and do it. So I stepped up, I found a space, I found somebody to teach with. And so that began a whole new journey of like thinking about how best to serve the community, how to make sure there was quality instruction, a nice venue, good music. I stepped into the role of instructor, DJ, organizer, and eventually I had a couple of people that showed up to support and help, which made it a little bit easier. Yeah, but that's how the teaching journey started for me.
Mhm. Yeah, and I'm curious, you said you spent maybe 15 years or however long amount of time focusing more on the personal aspect, and it wasn't until that moment where you stepped into that teacher role. Was there a tipping point or something that happened mentally or your thoughts or your beliefs that had you take that jump or make that shift? Because I'm curious, like I'm thinking about people who maybe in similar situations, whether in dance or something completely different, that they're a personal expert or they've been developing their skills and they've felt this hesitation to share that or teach that or facilitate that. I'm curious to hear more about what helped you step into that role and any insights or learnings that you might be able to share with someone else who might be on that cusp, like I said,
Mhm.
with dance or something completely unrelated.
Yeah, there's a few different slices to this. I don't know if I can remember all of them right this minute, but I certainly have a few in my mind that I'd like to talk about. So one, wanting to share all the great things I was experiencing with other people was a factor. Two, there being a gap that meant that none of us could really explore this passion was also a factor.
Mm-hmm.
Three, it occurred to me that just because you start teaching doesn't mean you stop growing. Actually, teaching in a way for me is the next level of growth.
Mm-hmm.
So, whatever you're passionate about, whatever you think you're great at or want to get better at, even if it's right from the beginning, the minute you start to teach it, you can expect a level up that is beyond any level up you had when you were learning on your own. So it's like, are you ready to handle the intensity of that growth and learning and level up? That's the only
Mm-hmm.
question. And I realized that I was hesitating in part because I was reluctant to give up my freedom. Because, when you're not teaching, you don't have the responsibility of a community on your shoulder as much.
Mm-hmm.
You have a little bit more freedom with your time and you can make other commitments and, you can decide, oh, I want to go dancing today, but no, I don't want to go dancing tomorrow. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
when you're a leader, it's like once you say there's going to be a class, you got to show up to your class.
Mm-hmm.
So in the end, the question was really like, how committed am I to dance? How committed am
Mm-hmm.
I to the growth that I'm experiencing with dance? And I was committed. So I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have everything figured out, but I don't typically always have everything figured out. What I do usually have figured out is that I will survive what's to come and I will either learn from it and grow, or I might struggle with it, but I trust myself to navigate that
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to find the resources that I need to push through it if I need.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess the one other thing I usually will think about is like, what's the worst case scenario? And do I think I can
Mm-hmm.
survive that? Or what do I
Mm-hmm.
need to survive that? But if
Mm-hmm.
it feels like I have some sense of that and it's gonna be okay, then yeah, I'm up for challenge. So I was up
Mm-hmm.
for this challenge.
Yeah. So, what I really want to highlight in what you shared for everyone listening, one, I heard this connection to a why. And you ask yourself
Mm,
that question of, am I committed? How committed am I to this dance journey? How much does this matter to me? How much does sharing this with other people matter? And that had to be a resounding yes in order to be willing to take on these additional things, the leadership, the responsibility, the time, like all of these things. So,
yes.
for everyone listening, if you're in a similar point in your life, ask yourself that question. How committed are you to whatever it is that you're thinking about? And I heard this desire and like clarity again around the why of wanting to share these great experiences that you were having and knowing the profound impact dance had had on your life. And like you said, that you love giving and facilitating and really supporting other people in their growth. So it sounds like that was a part of your why as well.
Hmm. Yes.
Yeah. And then seeing this gap and seeing, like, okay, this is a desire in the world, in my community, and I can fill it. So, am I willing to step into this leadership role and believe that what I have now is enough? And, like you said, the learning doesn't end. So, I think that's something that can get in people's way of thinking, like, I need to be the expert of all experts and like better than everyone else or whatever they think. I don't have enough right now. I think that's a common thought. So to be able to believe you have enough right now and you will continue to grow as you're learning and teaching.
Yeah, I think it's really important. It's like one thing that I feel like I've noticed about anyone that's accomplished at anything, at least the ones that I've met, is that imposter syndrome goes hand in hand with anyone that dares to take on an ambitious mission.
Mm,
And it is sometimes the driver for the growth and evolution and the excellence that you will manifest in your life. And I think sometimes we think that we're going to tease these two things apart,
mm,
and there will be a day where we will never feel like, oh, am I the best? Am I doing the best that I can? Am I at the level that I should be? And it's like, because you asked that question, you will be amazing. When
mm,
you stop asking that question, your growth slows and maybe stops. So it's
mm,
about getting to a place of this feeling to me. I mean, perhaps it exists, but for me, it's more about, do you trust yourself to navigate that uncertainty and
mhm,
still stay firm in your belief? Do you trust yourself to always be doing the best you can and pushing forward? Because
Mhm.
ultimately, the path is infinite. There will always be someone ahead of you, there will always be someone behind you, and there will be people around where you are.
Mhm.
And you can expect certain things knowing that. People that are not as far as you will look up to you, and the people that are ahead of you might look down on you, or they might pull you up closer to them, right?
Mm.
And that's a choice that they make. It's not a reflection of your worth.
Mm.
Also, even as you grow and you find what makes you unique, the people that may be more experienced than you are watching. And
Mm.
believe me, they will take the best parts of that and integrate into their journey as well because they can't explore everything on their way to wherever they're going. But you can be
Mm.
an inspiration for people that seem like, oh, they're ahead of me, they're more experienced. It's like,
Mhm.
it doesn't really work that way. It's not that straightforward. It's not a straight line. We
Mm.
inspire each other and we grow if we dare to be our unique selves. And if you're really being your unique self, it's going to be really hard to look like anybody else. So if you still look and sound like anybody else, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but you might want to dig a little deeper to like understand what aspects of my authentic self am I not
Mm.
integrating into my passion, into my focus, into my ambition that could one leave me feeling even more energized and better because I'm truly manifesting more of my authentic self. And that's not an easy question to ask and navigate. Sometimes you need to write, so talk to somebody or meditate on it to figure it out. And sometimes it just slaps you in the face one day and you're like, oh, I'm doing this new thing I never did before, and why haven't I always done this? This is so me.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love so much of what you said. And one thing that stands out again is like those beliefs. And you talked about the
Hmm.
beliefs of I trust that I can navigate any obstacle that comes my way. I will
Yeah.
survive whatever happens. I have the resources. I can navigate this situation. And that is so crucial and vital for
Hmm.
people to be willing to do something scary, do something new, to really have the foundation of that. Because, like you said, there's always going to be imposter syndrome. There's going to be feelings that come up. There's going to be challenges you inevitably face as you
Hmm.
rise continually and experience this growth. And if you have the foundational belief that you can handle it, that you trust yourself and you're going to love yourself no matter what, that makes all the difference.
Yeah, it's like your belief is basically your lens for looking out, but also looking within. If in any situation, you can almost have at least two lenses, and you can have like an energizing lens or you can have a de-energizing one. De-energizing lens is like focusing on that like imposter syndrome, like, oh, I'm not good enough. People will judge me. Do I have the right to be here? Have I earned my place here? That's not energizing at all. Of course, you're going to feel low energy and unmotivated. And even if you do start to do the thing that you're looking to do, it'll be easy to feel hurt or wounded by other people's comments and reactions because it validates the
Mhm.
lens that you have chosen. You won't even really
Mhm.
hear the positive affirmation because you'll think people are just being nice. However, if you pick
Mhm.
this other lens of like, I have growth to do, and growth is exciting, and I'm having an impact, and I would love to have more of an impact in the future, but this is better than nothing. And I trust me to have this positive outlook and this positive focus that will consistently
Mhm.
deliver value. The only question is how I get to the point where I deliver more and more value and have a larger and larger impact. And I'm excited to discover what that is. That's energizing. You
Mhm.
hear affirmations and
Mhm.
validation when they're given to you, and you see those as almost like the road to where you can deliver more value and impact because this is like literal proof that what you're doing is working, is having the impact that you would like. And so more of that. And the things you don't hear as much about is an opportunity to look at that and understand, hmm, maybe this isn't having as much of an impact, or maybe it's like a foundational thing where it's like it's not always noticed, but without it, the things that are having an impact wouldn't be having that impact. So that's
Mhm.
energizing. That gives you something to figure out, gives you something to process, feel good about, and ultimately that's good for whatever you put your mind to.
Mhm.
Easier
Yeah.
said than done, but this is a practice.
Of course. One thing that you shared that I also really love and want to highlight, you talked about finding your unique expression. And I think that's something of why comparison is so not useful because you can look to other people who you're like, they're quote unquote ahead of me in skill or experience or whatever it is. And yet each of us have such unique experiences, life history, gifts that what you can create, what I can create, what someone listening to this podcast can create, no one else can create. So I think that people might think of like, oh, it's already been done. there's already enough dance teachers, there's already enough
Mm.
healers, there's already enough this or that, but there's only one of you. And when I see people who
There's no
have
healer
the
like you, and
courage,
there's no dancer like you.
yeah, when I see people have the courage to bring that forth, it's just like such a precious gift that the world gets to experience that wouldn't have existed if that person hadn't had the courage to do that.
Yes. 100%.
Mhm. Yeah. One thing I would love if you could talk about, I know before we pressed play on this podcast, patience was a theme that came up. And it's something
Yes.
that I've definitely dealt with and navigated in my own journey in life and as an entrepreneur. And I see this come up a lot with entrepreneurs, specifically with people who have a big vision and might have started to take steps towards that vision, and yet it's not going fast enough. They're not seeing the results they wanted in the time frame they want, and they end up quitting because they either think they're behind or it's not working, or they tell themselves stories of why they're failing. So I would love if you could share anything that comes up for you right now around that theme of patience and what you've been learning about that in your life and in your business recently.
Yeah. So I've historically said that I'm not a patient person. It's funny because I think now when I say that to people, they're surprised because I think there is the perception that I'm Mr. Zen and calm and patient. And it's really nice to hear that and to see that as something people are noticing from the outside. But for me, I'm still very much on the path. And today I realized I always felt like I was not patient. And so being patient was a desire for me. And all the challenges that I feel like I faced recently, well, most of them have tried my patience. You know what I mean? Like, I've been in difficult situations where I've had to navigate tough conversations. I've had to be patient. I had no choice but to be patient. And I think that facing those difficult situations has been building the capacity for patience in me. And it's like this weird thing where, like, you ask the universe for one thing, and it's like, well, here's the opposite. And this is your gym. And you're going to work out in this other
Mhm,
space in order to receive
mhm,
the thing that you want. So it's like, actually, when you ask the universe for something, you're really ending up leaning into the courage to face its opposite so that you may build and receive the thing that you're asking for. Do you have the
mhm,
courage? Do you have the commitment? Do you have the dedication? Do you
mhm,
have the energizing
mhm,
lenses that will allow you to go through the thing that you're avoiding, the thing that you don't want to
mhm,
face, so that you may receive the thing that you, or the person that you want to be, that you may manifest the person you want to
mhm.
be. So it's like it's still duality, you know. You build capacity on one side so you can have capacity on the other side. But the question is, are you ready to reach that level of intensity? Not how do you switch to one side and never have to
Yeah.
deal with the other. Hmm.
Mhm. Absolutely. And I've said often to people and shared to be careful not to wish away your challenges. Because, like
Mm.
you said, those are the moments that are that catalyst for growth.
Hmm.
So I'm curious if you had any wisdom for someone who's listening to this conversation right now, who is maybe in like one of those moments of tension where they really want something and they feel like they're getting the opposite and like, why is the universe doing this to me or whatever? Like, what insight, what wisdom, what would you want to say to that person right now?
That's tough. Well, some people will be able to receive the message and some will not, and that's okay. I feel like this is a message that you need to be ready for. And if you're primed with frustration in your life, it can be difficult to hear and receive this. But no matter what's happening in your life, if you're still trying to accomplish what you set out to do, you're on track. You're absolutely on track. And anyone that you can think of that has been successful at anything similar to that you're trying to do has had to go through that stage. The only question is like, did they share what they went through? Are they willing to share it? Or are they spending it into
Mm,
something? So knowing that what you're going through is part of the path, then the question becomes, are you going to see it through? Are you going to focus on the things that will help you get through it? Or are you going to focus on the things that will de energize you and stop you from getting through it? And I think
mhm,
the thing about growth and progress is sometimes we think we know what we need to do to accomplish what we're trying to do. And the step that we're trying to take is too large. And
mm,
when the step is too large, it's frustrating, it's hard to make progress, and it's likely that we'll give up on the thing that we want to do. But just like in
mhm,
dance, like I tell my students, if something feels difficult to do, you're not starting with a small enough step. With a small enough
mm,
step, you can make consistent progress. You can even make the progress fun. With a large enough step,
mm,
it's difficult. And it doesn't mean that you need to always pick the smallest step forever. But I think that in the moments where you're feeling like you're not growing, you're not accomplishing, you're feeling a little bit stuck, you're not giving yourself enough moments to celebrate the good work that you're doing and the progress that you're making. And one of the ways that you can do that is by chopping up whatever you need to do into smaller steps, having smaller milestones towards where you want to be and celebrating them when you accomplish that,
Mhm.
figuring out like what is a good size step for me for this to be
Mhm.
sustainable, for this to still be a joyful experience, even as it is challenging. If you can solve that,
Mhm.
you're eventually going to get where you want to be. But if you get hung up on, oh, I'm stuck, I can't get to the first floor, and you keep trying to leap to the first floor from the ground level, yeah, it's tough. You're right. Yeah, it might be impossible. You're right. But you're only right because of the lens that you're choosing. If you start to think
Mm.
about, okay, that's too high for me to jump right now, but is there something I can stand on? Is there a ladder? Are there blocks that I can pile up into some kind of stair? Or is there already a staircase? Might even already be a staircase. Now you're thinking outside the box, you're thinking outside of the limiting lenses into what's actually possible. And if it's not possible or it hasn't been done yet, that might be the opportunity you always needed to differentiate yourself and create
Mhm.
something new that has probably been a frustration for people forever, and
Mm.
thereby bring your unique solutioning self into a global platform where like your value is now just obvious. You dare to do the
Mhm.
thing people just stayed at being frustrated with, you know?
Mhm.
So your frustration is an opportunity to shine and be unique.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God, so good. So many things of what you said. And some like thoughts I want to pull out of what you said of A, recognizing if you're experiencing a challenge, you're going after a goal,
Hmm.
you're experiencing a challenge, you're confronted, having a thought of this is normal. Nothing has gone wrong here. Like it's normal for me to feel stretched as I am going through something challenging because I think that's something that people can think like I'm uniquely incapable. There's something wrong with me. No one else has these challenges. And it's like everybody has challenges, whether they talk about them or not,
Yes.
their choice. And it's the lens we choose to see our challenges through that make the biggest difference. And knowing that our challenges, those moments of frustration, can be the exact catalyst that helps us brew our medicine, that helps us refine our gifts, that helps us creatively fill a gap in the world that no one else has filled before. And it was only through the challenge and through the frustration that ended up being the thing that helped that be created. So, again, that's the lens of how you're looking.
Hmm.
And I think another thing that you spoke to that I see a lot of people struggle with, again, especially entrepreneurs, is when you have, like you said, such a big goal. Like, say someone wants to start a business and they're like,
Yeah.
okay, I need my business to completely sustain me within 6 months. My
Hmm.
expectation is that it completely replaces my income or whatever it is. And we set this giant goal, and then we feel the pressure and we feel the shame and we feel the disappointment when we're trying to leap up 5 flights of stairs and we haven't even like taken that first step yet. So to
Yes.
be able to find the balance between possibility and belief and seeing grand visions and all of that, and also I don't know if realistic is the right word, but it's like, yeah, how to balance like possibility and sustainability and having realistic goals or realistic expectations and allowing yourself to break things down into smaller chunks so that it can be fun and joyful and pleasurable and doesn't have to feel like some unattainable goal that you're pressuring yourself to achieve that you're going to be miserable if you don't.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing all of that. I know I feel it would be so valuable for so many people to hear. So I hope that landed for you if you're listening. And now I
Absolutely.
would love to shift a little bit into how you teach and some of your philosophies and things I would love if you could speak about. I know you talk about this concept of human first, dancer second. So I would love if you could share a little bit more about what that means to you.
Yeah, so sometimes when we hit the dance floor, we're like, I'm in the mood, I want to dance, I want to find someone to dance with. We're the dancers. You see a dancer, you go ask the dancer to dance, you get on the dance floor and you expect the dance thing to happen. But just stepping back a little bit from that, it's like people come to dance with all of themselves. So if someone had a
Mm,
rough day and they show up to dance, that's in their body. I mean, that maybe that's on their mind, maybe that's on their heart. If someone is celebrating great news and they come to dance, that's in their body, that's on their mind, that's in their heart. Okay. So the state we show up in when we decide to go to something as social as dance can sometimes be great, sometimes not. Sometimes it can be in alignment on the mental, emotional, and physical side, and sometimes not. This is context that is important when you're starting a dance and trying to connect with another human. Because when you connect on the dance floor, you're not just connecting as dancers, you're connecting as humans. And it is really difficult for the dancer to emerge if the human is
Mm,
not in alignment with themselves.
mm,
Their ability to tap into their potential with movements, to flow, can be, challenged. In
mhm,
dance, emotion flows. Sometimes thoughts flow. Sometimes
mhm,
you're just in a state. And
mhm,
the emotional and mental state you're in, I found, definitely affects your ability to sense your body, to be in your body, and to keep your body in alignment as you move. It
mhm,
also affects your ability to notice your dance partner's state. Are they feeling okay? Are they comfortable? Are they in alignment with themselves? Are they more energetic today or less energetic today? Do they feel like they want more of a chill dance, or do they feel like they want to move? That stuff can be hard to notice if you're already caught up in, my day was rough and nobody likes me and I hope I connect with somebody here. These are all valid thoughts and feelings, but the energy that we bring into a partnership when we ask someone to dance, walk them over to the dance floor and then start to dance, can be a really big opportunity to create the energy we want to experience, but it starts with us. So when we start a dance with the energy we want to experience, we invite the other person to join us in that energy.
mhm,
When we start a dance with an energy that's not what we want to experience, we're inviting the person we want to dance with to that energy too. But
mhm,
the interesting thing is, if they join us in that invitation, we will hold them responsible for our experience.
mm,
That's a very easy thing to do. So it's like if we are not doing our parts and we're always expecting somebody else to do their part, then we're all expecting of each other what we are not willing to have the courage to provide or to embody. And that
mm,
can be the reason for a lot of dancers that feel disconnected or not so comfortable on the dance floor. It's like we're not rooted in our own comfort and truth and desire and showing up with that energy. We're either waiting to see what happens or we're stuck in our own, maybe not so great emotions, mindsets, and things like that. So I think when I speak about unlocking the human, it's really about getting to know somebody
mm,
before, during, maybe even after you dance with them. Because I find that connection on the dance floor can be deepened by getting to know somebody or by having a conversation with somebody. Usually, if you can talk to somebody a little bit before you dance with them, it can help you both feel a little bit comfortable and at ease to share partner dance. Partner dancing in general, even if you have an open hold and you're away from your partner, it's an act of vulnerability and it is an intimate experience. There's another
mhm,
human in your space, in your energetic field that you're interacting with that has
mhm,
emotions that will show up, maybe thoughts that will show up, maybe not all of them verbally, because
mhm,
there is nonverbal communication in dance, and a body that has a memory of this person's experiences, emotions, and thoughts. And they're bringing all of this to try and create something new with you. And so you will feel things, you will sense things about them if you're not if you're willing to be open to experience and notice,
mhm,
and
mhm,
they will do the same with you and you'll do the same of each other or with each other, right?
mhm,
So how do you navigate that? How do you create a dance if you haven't like tried to understand some of those things or put a baseline to some of these things? And there's some simple things you can do. The conversation is one of them. Starting slow is one of them. Starting small and just feeling out what in the moment you can do to connect with another person as a human. Maybe it's paying them a compliment on their outfit or like sharing something about yourself. Anything little, like it's really not little because it ricochets through your
mhm,
dance. Because let's say, for instance, I ask someone to dance and I lead with that I just got to the social, I'm not warmed up yet. You know, I might not be the best dancer tonight, but I'm excited to dance with you and have fun. That is such a human thing to express, and that can help put somebody at ease and invite them to
mhm,
share something about themselves as well. And now, when you start your dance, there's less pressure between the two of you because it feels like there is less judgment or there's less
mhm,
potential for judgment. And
mhm,
judgment is one of the big ones in dance that like holds people back from moving, from dancing,
mhm,
from feeling comfortable, the worry of judgment.
mhm. Yeah. Wow. So, A, what is standing out to me right now is like when you talked about first getting into dance, and then as you continue this journey, you realize, wow, there's so many different layers, and you're continuing to discover growth opportunities for yourself and how it's impacting you. And yeah, for someone listening who's like maybe just got into dance and weren't expecting all of those things, and I know even for me, like I'm 20 years into my dance journey as well in different capacities, and still, of course, it never ends of just learning so much about myself and new circumstances. And it's such a deep opportunity for growth, for
Hmm.
healing, for things that mirror every other aspect of ourselves and every other aspect of our life. And I feel like, on one hand, that could feel kind of heavy, maybe. And like to me, sometimes kind of feels heavy, as well as like balancing like the joy and lightness and connection that dance brings. So for me, I don't know, it's both. And I'm also hearing of like to continue to ask yourself that why. So if you're listening to this, maybe you are already a partner dancer or you've been wanting to explore partner dancing. What is the why for you that you desire? And are you willing to navigate some of these things? And how committed are you to that journey? And in what capacity do you want to engage with this practice? Because I think it can be so deep.
Yes, absolutely.
And for someone who, I know I am a facilitator of like a solo dance, like ecstatic dance, energy dance. And I know even for people in that community, how hard it can be for some people to just show up to that, to dance just themselves, let alone in a space of people and be witnessed by other people. And they're afraid of partner dancing or they're not experienced with partner dancing. So for someone listening who's maybe like felt that call of like, wow, it would be so cool to dance or partner dance, and they have all these fears and everything coming up of the beginning of their journey, is there anything that you would share that could support them or you think would be helpful?
Yeah, I think if journey is really easy, you might not be doing it the right way. And if journey is not fun, you might not be doing it the right way.
Mm,
It should be fun or can be fun, and it's likely that it will also be challenging. And these two things are not mutually exclusive. There's a way in which they can play with each other or dance with
mm,
each other, if you will.
mhm,
So I think finding out and noticing what energizes you when you dance is important.
mm,
I think spending time with and finding the people that support your growth journey and excited for where you're going in dance is important.
mhm,
Focusing on what you're gaining, what you're becoming, what you're experiencing is important.
mhm,
And trusting that like there will be some people that are maybe not excited to dance with you today or next week. That's okay. If
mhm,
you could make them dance with you, you might not enjoy the dance. You know what I mean?
mm,
They may look great on the outside, but it might not be the right connection for you for where you are in your dance journey today.
mm, mm,
So, allowing people to have their opinions and perhaps judgments of you and still feeling rooted in like the why you're here and what you want to do, I think is important in dance.
mm,
And if you can find the people that leave you feeling comfortable and energized, and you can choose the perspectives that do the same, and you can focus on those over and beyond like who doesn't want to dance with you or isn't excited to dance with you, or the mistakes you're making while you're dancing, or how long it feels like it's taking you to look like everybody else, I think it will serve you well. And I feel like those words may make sense to you right now, or they may feel like, oh yeah, well, duh. But then, like, when you go out there, are you practicing them? Like, it takes
mm.
intention to actually practice that. Otherwise, the whole night can go by. You can be like, why did I do this? And why did I do that? And why didn't I do this? Yeah. So it's a thing. It's a practice. You have to practice it to get better at it.
Yeah. And I'm like hearing these words for myself right now, at socials and things that I've been in recently, like catching myself where I'm not practicing that intentionality, or my feelings and emotions that day are getting in the way from me showing up in my like fullest presence and ability to connect with people. And for me, I've been inviting compassion in those moments of like, yeah, I'm human, I'm not going to always be the absolute best I can possibly be. And I can be aware in the moments that I'm not showing up how I want to show up and give myself compassion in that. So yeah, I'm curious too if there's anything that you have to share of like, yes, this is the goal and this is the a lens that you can practice and for people who struggle with that in a moment. Maybe they're a seasoned dancer and they have like a bad day. Anything you would want to tell them or like a bad dance.
Yeah, so there's always a lens you can choose to find joy in dance, and there is a skill to finding and choosing the right lens for, let's say, each partner or each state that you might be in. Like when I'm tired, I know that I'm not up for doing complicated things or difficult things in dance. I usually just want to flow. And knowing that
Mhm.
helps me navigate dance. Like I will pick the chill songs, or I will lead with that when I ask someone to dance. Like, hey, I'm not super energetic today. It's going to be a really chill dance. Is that okay? I'm giving and offering choice so that somebody may understand the experience that they're having on the dance floor when we dance. And
Mhm.
it's like I think we underestimate the power of like communication and understanding sometimes because dance is such a nonverbal thing a lot of times. But
Mhm.
there's no reason to not use your words if there is an idea that's complex enough that you feel
Mhm.
called to, right? As an experienced dancer, if you're having a bad day, if you're low energy and you go dancing, you can expect that like your patience will not be what it is when like you've just had great news and you've had, 8 hours of sleep and you're having a wonderful day and you show up to dance. So it's important to understand the impact that you may have on someone that's newer, that may be seeking validation, that may be seeking a great experience to even try and understand the dance and understand how they feel about it and what they want to experience in all of this. And I think that as an experienced dancer, we need to be a little bit more responsible with the
Mhm.
impact about the impact we're having on others. But then we also need to
Mhm.
understand like we can't control how people feel, so they're always going to feel
Mhm.
however they choose to for whatever reason. And as long as we can do our part to make it easier to create that communication and that understanding, I think that's good enough.
Mhm.
I want to trust that that will eventually be something that communicates and that levels up our communities and builds compassion between all of us. And I think the dance
Mhm.
community, we have a lot of compassion. We can always use more.
So, what I'm hearing and what you're saying again is what is really important, whether you're an experienced dancer or a new dancer, is to be able to have those mindful moments of intention. And you can check in with yourself before you head to a dance or a class or a social and check in with your energy and how you're feeling and really set that intention and ask yourself, how do I want to show up today? How do I want to show up for myself? How do I want to show up with the human beings that I'm going to interact with? Because this is a partner dance.
Hmm.
And how can I be in communication? And like you
Hmm.
said, to not underestimate the power of our words and the power of even just those small things, smiling at someone, complimenting their outfit, asking how their day was, like that can shift everything in that dynamic. I love those really simple reminders that we can be intentional about in that interaction.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just thinking, and I haven't really expressed this before, but like unlocking the human before you unlock the dancer is a thing, but also I think we also need to learn to unlock ourselves because sometimes we're very closed when we come into the dance connection. And I feel like I also
Mhm.
want to just take a moment to mention that the coining of this phrase, the unlocking of the human, for me, was a phrase I first heard from two dance inspirations of mine in the Zouk world, uh, Luan and Adriana. And it hit me like a hammer. Like I'm still
Mm.
feeling the ricochet effects of that throughout my life because it so perfectly coined something that I had been experiencing for a while that I couldn't quite put into words. And now I feel like I have this phrase as something I can use to tie some of the ideas that I have together in expressing what's really important when you're trying to build a connection with someone on the dance floor, what really allows us to get out of our own way and let the dance happen.
Mm. Yeah. And I would be curious your perspective with this and what is coming up for me as I've heard everything that you are describing. And when I think about dance and what I've experienced in my own life, is how healing this work is. not only for ourselves, also in relationships. As a
Hmm.
coach all the time, I hear people struggle with communication, relatedness, how they show up. And dance is a container that will bring up all of those things and an opportunity to do such deep healing work. So I kind
Hmm.
of see dance and think about it the way I think about feng shui, in the sense that we can make changes in our physical environment that impact us in other areas of life. Or even like this
Absolutely.
100-mile bike ride I just attempted, that the challenges that brought up for me were
Hmm.
reflections of the challenges that I experienced in other areas of my life.
Yes,
So it's
that
just
is.
such a beautiful opportunity.
Yeah, that is exactly like that too. I feel like I've grown as a person so much because of the realizations that I've had within dance, and I think it's a beautiful thing. I would encourage any and everyone to explore it.
Yeah. So, for anyone listening to this, if they are in the DC area, if they're in the Maryland area, or anywhere in the surrounding areas, what can people expect from your containers? I know you have different kind of approaches or philosophies. Is there anything that you want
Hmm.
to share about your creations or what you're offering the world?
Yeah, I can do that. So I'm a little bit focused on growing urban kiz as a dance style that's based on kizomba, which is originally from Angola here in DC. But whether I'm teaching urban kiz, kizomba, or Brazilian zouk, there's some common things you can expect from my classes. Laughter and humor, for sure. I believe that, fun and humor should be a part of the learning process and not separate from it. You should be able to enjoy each step that you're taking. And so I strive to incorporate fun in every level and layer of education that I'm providing the dance community. Some things you can expect are safe containers where people can express and where understanding, empathy, and compassion are encouraged. And you're given tools for that, not just in conversation, but also in dance and how we approach respecting and honoring boundaries, creating safe spaces, using nonverbal communication, being mindful of the kind of touch that we're offering and receiving. You can expect layered lessons. So things will typically start out a little bit on the easier side, and then we will go on a journey together with some challenge. That should be fun. And you can expect to meet like a warm community that wants to get to know you and is excited to move and dance with you. And these are some of the common things. The things that are like different for everyone will be some of the messages you take away from my classes. Like I will say something
Mhm.
every now and then, and it'll probably have an impact on the on your life outside of dance. For instance, I was telling one of my students about my colleague, Jordan, he goes by Jungle Rose, about his container theory, which I'm not the expert on container theory, but I like everything I've read and heard about it. And my take on it is basically creating this safe space that's not confining, but is supporting and allows, creates room for the follower to express herself however she would
Mm,
like. And it sort of invites curious exploration and comfort and play
mm,
into the dance space in a way that is really beautiful. And in describing this concept, the way that I understand it to my students, one of their immediate responses was like, well, they texted me this response later, was like, I need to do this with my children more. I need to like create a safe space for them to like express themselves. I
mm,
need to like
mhm,
allow them to like play. I need to allow them to be a part of the growth that I'm trying to bring to them. And I need to think about
mhm,
how I can do that better. And I thought that was such a beautiful
mhm,
thing that like an idea
mm,
that was going to help the human unlock themselves and grow as a
mm.
dancer was now something they were connecting with how they could do that for their family as well. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. So fun, humor, safety, connection, an
Hmm.
invitation to reflect on what you're learning, not just of how it applies to you as a dancer, how it
Hmm.
applies to you and the rest of your life. So,
Yes.
so many gifts available.
Yeah.
How can people find you if they want to come to your class, if they want to learn more about your work?
The best way to get in touch with me is on my Instagram, which is Dance Flow Haven, and Haven is Haven. Otherwise, you can also just go to danceflowhaven.com. My handles are all there. Some of my vision is there, information about my classes and teams. I have a partnership page with my dance partner, Rocio. So that's Nii Rocio.official, also on Instagram. And then I have a Dance Flow Haven channel on YouTube. with a lot of exciting videos. So check them out. If
Mm,
you like what you see, come
nice,
out to class. It'll be fun.
nice. So yeah, even if you're not in DC, you can still experience some of that magic and
Mhm.
inspiration for yourself. So absolutely check it out, and we'll put all of that in the show notes. So look there if you need it. And if there was one thing that you wanted people to remember or take away most from this conversation, what would that be?
I'm gonna go with have the courage to feel whatever within you wants to be felt. Have the courage to feel whatever is within somebody else, whether they're
Mm,
communicating it or not. And then challenge yourself to accept that and choose
mm,
how you want to respond rather than react right away. If
mm,
everything that you're feeling is true, that knowledge is empowering if you let it be. What are you going to do
mm,
with that knowledge? Are you going to grow, facilitate someone else's growth? Are you going to have a positive impact? Are you going to focus on the
mm.
negative? If you can practice this lens, not just in dance, but in your personal life as well, you give people the freedom to not have to be perfect, to not
Mm,
have to worry about judgment, to heal, to grow. And
mm,
as important as that, you give yourself that as well. You know,
mhm,
it's like
mhm.
as within, so without. It's just like all of life.
Yeah, beautiful. So give yourself space to be human, give other people space to be human, and
Hmm.
remember you have the power to choose the lens that you look at things through. And I'm hearing again, like inviting in that space to reflect, respond, notice, bring awareness.
Hmm.
And yeah, just hearing a lot of like intentionality and choice around how we experience ourselves and how we show up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, the last question I love to ask, because for me, so much of following your spark is following sometimes random things that spark passion, love, joy, curiosity, whatever it is. We don't always know where it's going to go. Is there anything in your life recently that you've been giving yourself time and space to follow? Maybe it's a new spark, maybe not. Does anything come to mind?
A couple of things. Um, so I have skills in like the tech world that are like to some arguably like the opposite of dance, like tech and like the arts. Whoa. But to me, they all make sense as two halves of the same thing. And recently, my life has taken on a different rhythm, and I've been following that and just sort of letting it happen. We have in dance this concept of like following the follow, where leads stop being as focused on like making a dance happen and structuring it, and more like initiating and making suggestions, and then allowing space for the follow to like respond or to suggest something else, and then to start to like follow that and then use that energy to create another suggestion and then follow wherever the follow might decide to lead that. I find that I'm starting to practice that in my personal life, where like, the things that are happening in my life are kind of like the follow that I'm following. And I am using intentionality, and I am using energizing lenses as much as I can at this point in my life to sort of navigate that. But a lot of my following right now is a little bit also getting out of my own way
Mm,
and allowing myself to be led by what is wanting to happen. Um,
mm,
it feels very different, very different. I lived a very structured and organized life before where I needed to understand something up front. I needed to plan it up front. I thought I knew how it was going to work, and I just need to connect the dots and connect this to that. And there was a lot of thinking, a lot of planning and replanning and scheduling and rescheduling. And so this is a different
mm,
rhythm for me, and I quite like it. It can
mm,
be a little bit scary sometimes, but it's been a lot of growth and a lot of learnings that I've wanted. And
mm.
I consider growth my love language. It's like almost my raison d'être. So anywhere I can find it, I think is valuable to me.
Yeah. So it sounds like the spark you're following is allowing yourself to find a different rhythm, to
Hmm.
explore things in a new way, and to kind of let go of the previous way of being that everything had to be super structured and organized and planned out, and to really follow the follow of your life and really see what energy you're being met with and
Hmm.
exploring how to dance with that instead of feeling like you need to like orchestrate every single
Yeah,
move that happens.
yeah. Discovering who I'm really wanting to be as opposed to who I have historically thought I should be,
Mm,
which some of that may
mhm,
be coming from conditioning and programming and
mhm,
all that stuff.
mhm. Yeah. Wow. Oh my gosh. Well, I feel like I could talk to you for hours more. So maybe we'll have a podcast part two. And in the meantime, thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom. It was truly a pleasure. And I cannot wait for people to hear this conversation.
It is my pleasure. Thank you for having me on this podcast.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope something in this episode resonated with you. I am so curious to hear, what is the spark on your heart that's calling you forward? What dream are you ready to pursue? If you feel this deep yearning for something more and yet the vision still feels unclear, let's talk. I offer free clarity calls to help you explore what truly matters, uncover what's been holding you back, and find out what simple, powerful practices you could be implementing that would propel you towards your dreams. I promise you will walk away from this call feeling inspired and lit up about the life you want to live, compelled by why it matters, and clear about the next steps you could take to get there. And like in all the work I do, I will invite in intuitive guidance by pulling oracle cards to open up to whatever messages would serve you most in this moment. Whatever it is that's been calling you, it's time to stop giving yourself reasons why you can't do it. You are so much more capable than you imagine, my friend. If you'd love support believing in a bigger vision for yourself and actively taking steps towards making that possible, head to ginacasbaro.com/clarity call to book your free call today. The world needs more people courageously following their purpose, passion, inspiration, and joy. And I cannot wait to hear about what that looks like for you. All right, my friend, until next time, I'm sending you so much love, and don't forget to follow your spark.